Hey, this is Trey Canard, and you're listening to the Inside Line podcast on Vital MX.
Hey, this is Guyby with Vital MX. Trey Canard had plenty of highs during his race career with wins, as well as supercross and outdoor titles. But he also scored more than his share of pain and injuries and announced his retirement during the latter half of the 2017 outdoor season. While we're not likely to see him racing in the future, we were happy to see that he's found a new way to enjoy riding. We'd been chasing him for a podcast for a while, and recently caught up with him after a test day with the Honda team, where he was working on outdoor settings for Ken Roczen. Before we dive in, we've got to thank some brands that help support the show. The Inside Line is presented by Thor. Since 1968, Thor MX has been supporting some of the world's most elite racers, including the 2018 250 Pro motocross champion, Aaron Plessinger. Head to ThorMX.com to see the racewear that Aaron and the rest of the Star Racing Yamaha team trust day in and day out. We also have to thank Chaparral Motorsports, who have been helping riders outfit their dirt bikes with parts, accessories, and tires for more than 30 years. Today, Shapmoto offers professional advice, online and in-store, helping you find the best riding gear and equipment for all your power sports vehicles. Visit shapmoto.com today. That's CHAPmoto.com. We also have to thank Maxxis Tires, who are proud to introduce the all-new MaxCross MX ST, a premier motocross tire tested and developed by the King, Jeremy McGrath. Available now at your local dealer. All right, Trey, you just finished up a day in the office. You've been busy testing with the Honda guys. What were you guys working on today?
Yeah, so it's, we're all got our eyes focused on outdoors, so I've been putting quite a bit of time on the outdoor track, just trying to work on actually Kenny stuff today. Got two different suspension companies, so that's been interesting but good, and so that's what we're up to. Yeah,
I was going to ask, do you test for one guy or the other, or go for the universal setting, or do you go back and forth?
Yeah, so with two different companies, it's kind of tough, because it's you're dealing with completely different components, completely different people, and other teams that are on the same brand, you kind of have a universal setting that you kind of work on, and so we don't have that at all, which I think is really good in some ways. In some ways it's probably elevating both brands in a way, like you're able to give them good constructive feedback to each brand, but also hurts us in some ways, being that we don't have two of the guys racing on the same things, but it's been fun for me. I've learned a lot, dealing with two different brands and two different styles, and that's been fun for me, and I think has really helped me grow with what I'm doing.
I know the team appreciates it, that you can still get after it at a really high level.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. I think you have to ride up to that level to really properly test. So I enjoy it. I the cool part for me is I never try to ride it above my skill level, and that's been interesting. There's been a couple days, especially Supercross, where I just kind of go, I don't know if I want to hit those whoops, or I roll out and I don't want to hit that quad or whatever, and that's been nice. So, but it is, you still have to push the limit a little bit, just because these guys are going really fast, so you have to push it, and but it's been fun. I've enjoyed it, and it's good to ride good equipment and have fun with it.
I hear some days you're still the fastest guy out at the track.
No, I mean that's speed was never the problem, right? Like I always was able to be one of the fastest guys, even in my last year, and mentally it just got tough for me to line up and just believe things were going to be okay, and I kind of lost that edge. I think you have to be willing to kind of accept defeat or accept anything that can happen, and I kind of lost that. I really didn't want to push myself in those circumstances anymore, and so it's one thing to go fast on a practice or a test day, but a whole another thing to go race.
You ride both the team bikes and production bikes?
I've only done one production test so far, but pretty much all race stuff. So I hope to do more production stuff, though. I think that's probably the biggest difference maker. So I hope to be involved with HRA and the American side of that, and hopefully even the Japanese side, because I think there's a lot of experience that the race team can bring over to production side, and hopefully we can get both teams really working together, because I think there's a lot of knowledge that could be really beneficial to everyone.
Mm-hmm. You have to approach each bike differently? Full race bike versus the production stuff?
Yeah, for sure. What was cool for me, I've had a couple experiences. There's a group of guys at KYB that actually kind of ride the stuff that we come up with for Cole. Bill Orr and Ricky Gilmore and John Yamada and I was talking to Bill today, actually. I said, hey, what do you think of that last sitting that I came up with? And he's like, man, I really liked it. And Bill's a vet rider and way heavier than me, way taller than me, and so it's kind of cool because there is something that translates. Like if it's good, it's going to be good for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. There's obviously different variables with speed and obviously you need more control the faster you're going, but I think if you have a good base bike, it's going to be good for just about anyone. So it's been interesting. Actually, the production test that I did, it was kind of cool because I had some comments, and then they had a vet kind of style rider there who had kind of similar comments. We're saying the same thing but a little bit differently. So I guess I say it is difficult because there is differences in speed and that kind of thing, but I think at the end of the day, if it's a good motorcycle, it's going to be pretty good for everyone.
Do you still train like you would if you were racing, or have you backed it down?
Yeah, I've backed it down a lot. I would say I exercise now. Before, just having a training plan is like work, because you've got to understand what your body's doing and what you've done, and it's a constant battle of knowing how much to do, how much you've done, and what to do and what not to do. So now I'm not too concerned with doing too much or doing too little. I just kind of do what I can, and more than anything, just try to enjoy it because it is fun. It's some guys hate training. I kind of enjoyed it. It was I think it makes my life better. So mm-hmm. I think I would be a less happy person if I didn't exercise. So I try to look at it more the exercise standpoint. I try to stay fit enough to do what I'm doing. So, but it's different. Yeah.
Well, 3 days in a row of testing out here, I know that has to beat up on you a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty wrecked. That last test, I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this. But yeah, so I just try to do enough to not get to day 3 of a test and, do anything crazy. So,
right.
But as far as, at the highest level, you're splitting hairs. You're thinking about, one moto or not one moto, or one bike ride or not one bike ride, and now I don't really care. I just kind of do whatever
Gotcha.
I feel like that day.
How is it riding now? What's the difference? Do you enjoy it more?
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun, honestly. When I retired, I was in a pretty tough spot. I'd had so many injuries and just weird stuff too. I had some bike malfunctions there at the end that kind of spooked me and just kind of took the fun out of it. I was good at coming back, but it takes a massive toll on you, and you start to lose belief at some point, and it's really hard to keep picking yourself up. And so I really got burnt out at that, and I just couldn't continue to bring myself to do things like I needed to do, and the last kind of concussion I had was not good. I was having some pretty odd symptoms for a while, and so I didn't ride for probably 8 months or so, and didn't really want to ride either. And then I rode the first day, and I was like, wow, man, this is what I'd missed. This is what I enjoyed, because I was really having fun. And this allows me to, it's some days hard to test and do that, but this allows me to really just enjoy riding. And I don't test every week, so I still just have fun, and it's nice just to go to the track and see the guys and be in this community. I think that's one part that I really missed last year. You build up this community of people and friends that you really grow to love and appreciate, and then you don't really do that at home. And so I go back to Oklahoma and don't really have that people. So It's been cool to be back in this community. I've really enjoyed that. It's half the fun for me. So
yeah, racing community is pretty tight.
Yeah.
I understand what you mean about coming back from, you work through all the rehab, you get back up to speed. It's not even on the same level, but back in my BMX racing days, I went through a string of like 7 collarbones in a row. You know, you just get back to speed, think you're doing good, and then break it again, and it's just like, not again.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, and we all go through it, right? I mean, everyone, with the exception of a few guys, have gotten hurt. You know, it's a difficult sport. And so I'm not the exception. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have gotten hurt. I know I kind of had a reputation of that, but if you really look at the facts, I mean, I'm not the exception.
It's just a tough sport.
It's just a tough sport, and emotionally, it just gets very difficult. And I think for me too, so many people came up to me and said things like, "Oh, you're the guy that always gets hurt," or, you know, I just want to see you make it through a season, or things like that. And it wears on you, you know, it really does. Like, you're in an autograph line, and, you know, people are like, "I was at Dodger Stadium when you got landed on," and I'm like, "Man, I got to go race tonight," you know. So I really struggled with that mentally. I think really from the time I broke my back, kind of through the rest of my career, I was fighting that.
I got to a certain point, and I don't know if you relate to this or not, I couldn't visualize a race without crashing.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like, I don't know if it's a trauma response or not, but your brain just goes there. You know, you're sitting on the gate and you're thinking, man, I could crash there, I could crash there, I could, you know, this could happen.
You're thinking of the places where it could happen.
And it's like, it takes you so far out of your focus that it's like, it's more dangerous. I remember lining up at my last race at Redbud, and just thinking, I'm probably going to crash on the first turn, and it's like, or I'm going to crash there, or I'm going to crash there, and I was so unfocused that I wasn't even present while I was racing. And I kind of knew then. I mean, I had a big crash and had a concussion that next Monday, but I kind of knew then, like, I need to be done. Like, I can't. This is not safe for me to be out here and be thinking this way.
Mm-hmm. And we hear you had an opportunity to come back to racing this year, and I was talking with the team manager that was pretty sure he was going to be able to get you to sign up for it.
Yeah, and I got asked, and I'm riding well. I mean, I think I'm riding pretty good, actually. You know, I'm having probably more fun than I've ever had, and you know, my times are not bad. But to do this sport, like, you got to be so committed emotionally and mentally, and I know I can ride well, but I'm not convinced that I could line up on the gate and not have those thoughts, you know. And you have to be willing to have the crashes and have the things, and maybe you're able to block that out a little bit more at some level, but I think you have to be willing to go through those things, and I'm just not anymore. I'm content, you know. I had a great career, you know. I'm happily married, and I don't know, I think I'm content in life, and I don't need to go try to win races. I would love it, you know. I'd love to go win the 450 Supercross Championship. That's something I never did, but I don't have that fight. And to me, I mean, to quote Ayrton Senna, he says, you know, motor racing is something you either do really well or you don't do it at all. And I kind of feel the same way. I could maybe go out there and get an 8th or a 10th right now if I'm not mentally there. Maybe I could even win if I kind of found the ability to move past that, but
or right situation. Or
yeah, whatever the case may be. But I'm with Ayrton. You know, you either do it well or you don't do it at all.
Mm-hmm. So, no more racing, any kind. Do you ever think about cars or anything else?
I mean, there's for sure days where I think about racing again. I know it kind of goes against what I just said, but
right.
But I think, man, I'm having fun. I feel pretty good. My fitness really isn't that bad. I learned a lot testing and that kind of thing. But then I see crashes at the races, and I just think, man, I don't want to do that. I'm not willing to do that anymore, you know. And I think you kind of got to be to a sense, you know. Not that you want to put yourself in bad situations, but I think you just got to be in a mindset to kind of go, like, I want to do this, and there's really no and ifs or buts about it, and I'm just not really there.
Yeah.
But as far as other racing, I don't know. I tried cyclocross a couple times, and I just got completely worked by like a 12-year-old. So, Yeah, my buddy Chris Drummond at home, and his son just lapped me. So I was like, man, I think I missed the cycling curve.
Yeah, well, it's such a different discipline.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
How long did you wrestle with that decision to retire?
Honestly, I was wrestling with it in 2013. I came back from my back, and I was scared out of my wits day one. I was just, talk about the psychology of it. I mean, there was triggers all over the place, and I was just thinking I'm going to get landed on again, And I thought that would go away as the more races that I did in that season. I could maybe move past it, but it kind of just got worse and escalated. And I think it was around Daytona. I remember sitting after Daytona, I got a 6th or something. I was kind of struggling, really struggling emotionally. And I was kind of sitting there with Timmy, and I was in my hotel room with Tim Ferry, and I was like, man, if I can't get past this, I need to be done. And thankfully I had good people around me that helped me see that there was some possibilities. And I'm super glad that I kept on, because I was able to win more races and come closer to a championship than I'd ever gotten. So I'm super happy that I pushed forward. And it kind of came and went at times. Sometimes I didn't even think about it at all. I was really comfortable and happy and things like that. But I think at Detroit, when I crashed with Weimer and I was in second and I was still within range of the championship in 2015, I was just super discouraged then. And so it kind of came and went and kind of ebbed and flowed and was kind of always there a little bit, and I was really trying to push past it. And it was a tough pressure and something I didn't really want to talk about, because it's you just don't want to even go there, So, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question well, but...
Well, I get not wanting to talk about it. People might get the wrong impression or like that, so...
Yeah, and emotionally, you don't want to... You just don't even want to go there, right?
Right.
You don't want to be lining up on the gate thinking, maybe I should retire, You want to be thinking, okay, I got to do this and do that, and... Yeah, it was tough, but I'm really happy that I pushed through it for the years that I did, because I think had I stopped in 2013, I would have had a lot of regrets.
I think one of the coolest things for me was when you decided to pull the plug, and it was in the middle of a season. All the people that came out for when you did the speech, seeing them all there was really cool, but I know that had to be a hard day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you had to be kind of pumped that Honda guys and KTM guys and everybody else are all showing up to kind of pay their respects on it.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things, I was so honored that KTM did that for me, because we had a horrible year. I tore my shoulder up at the first race of the year and then never really came back from that, and broke my collarbone midway through the Supercross season, and then did 2 outdoor races, and then that happened. And so to have them come in and do something like that, I was pretty blown away, and super grateful to Roger and to Ian and Stephanie Nutt, who kind of orchestrated it all, and then to have them say, hey, we were only a small part of your career, let's invite the Honda crew. It was cool. I look back at it and I think, man, that's something that I can look back on and just be really grateful for. It was a really cool day for me. Really tough, but I had a lot of support, and it was really cool.
I can't imagine getting up. I'm not much of a public speaker, but I can't imagine getting up in front of a group like that and talking about the career and everything else. Yeah,
it was tough. I think I broke down a couple times, which I didn't think I would, but it hit me pretty hard. But yeah, it was tough, but I'm super grateful for it. It was cool. I think it was cool to be able to. There's a lot of people that end their careers and they don't get to speak their piece, and so it was kind of cool to cap it off that way,
But I can get totally get why it would be emotional for you. It's been the dream for such a big part of your life.
Yeah, and one of the things that's been so difficult in retirement for me, especially in the first year, is you basically, people have 20, 30-year careers, right? That's basically what we do. I was contracted at 9 years old to race. I was 26, almost 27 when I retired. It's an 18-year career, basically. And so it's scary. You're thinking, man, this is all that I've done, and it's all that I'm really known for. So it's really scary. It's like you lose kind of your identity, and it's just kind of like, what's next, you know? So it's very tough. And I've talked to Shorty, I've talked to Dungy, I've talked to Stanton, I've talked to Wyndham. Everyone that I've talked to has gone through kind of an identity crisis, and I think it gets kind of unseen, you know. But it's tough.
Well, I think Wyndham, a few races after he retired, was going, you know, there's sort of almost like a honeymoon period where, you know, you quickly forget some of the bad stuff. Yeah. And start wondering, you know, did I pull the plug too early? You know, I think Ryan might have gone through some of the same thing too. Yeah,
I talked to Jake Venata about this, and he's kind of dealt with some of the. NFL actually has a organization that deals with their newly retired athletes, and he was like, there's two two schools of thought, and one is, I still got it, right? Like, I retired, I still got it, I still got this, I can go, you know, I'll go out there today and win. And then there's the other guys that are like, there's still more to prove. And I think I was kind of in the still more to prove kind of mindset, but yeah, no, the first 2 weeks is awesome. People always ask me, what's it like to be retired? And I'm like, man, the first 2 weeks was like sweet. I like slept in, ate whatever I wanted, enjoyed life. And then it was like, what do I do now?
All right, what's next?
Yeah.
Throughout your career, all the things you accomplished, what's the thing that you're most proud of?
I think there's a couple moments that I'm proud of. I think to me, Anaheim won 2013 when it came back and almost won. Like, that was probably almost like a highlight for me.
I think you and Davey battling there.
Yeah, like, because I don't want to, cry or whatever, but I don't think people truly understand how emotionally difficult that is. And to see, like, what Kenny's done and Cole, and it's tough, man. It's so tough. And so to come back and almost win the race was, like, amazing. And then I think, my first Supercross, like, that was just a really cool moment. Not many rookies come out and win their first race, and so that was really cool for me. But I think I don't know. I think when people come to me and they say good things about just my character, I think that's really cool for me. Because racing's going to come and go, but to know I've made an impact on some people, even if it's just a handful of people, and they saw something more than a racer, I think that's pretty cool for me to see.
Yeah, winning races, I don't want to say that's the easy part, because we all know it's not the easy part, but I guess being a good human being too. Yeah, so, and I'm not saying I'm the best person. I've obviously made a lot of mistakes in my life, but it's cool. It's cool to, because I really tried to be, and it's cool to have people talk about your character and acknowledge that. So, yeah, I'm grateful for when people encourage me that way. Do you ever work with any riders now?
I'm around a lot of guys, around Kenny, around Cole, but around the crew in Oklahoma. I've helped Bogle a little bit, ride with him, rode with Fortner quite a bit this off season, rode with Benny Bloss quite a bit, and then there's kind of a whole crew in Oklahoma. So I just go to Robbie's or go to my old place and just, if I can add tidbits here and there, then I do. So it's been fun. It's cool. It's cool when you can add something and then you see people kind of like get it, and that's been pretty fun.
Make a difference.
Yeah. Like maybe it was like a 10th, but hey, that's cool.
Hey, pick up a 10th here, a 10th there. It starts adding up.
Yeah.
I know you were looking to help out, with Feld and some of the, I don't know if it was a rider association, what you guys were working on at the time. Where's that at now, and what's the future look like? Yeah,
it's tough. It's very tough. it's pretty flat right now. There's really no headway as to moving forward. I still have the framework though, and I still believe at the right time with the right people involved, it could take off. But I think the thing that hamstrung it the most was that our community has to ask for these things, and they have to come together on it. And what I mean by our community is the teams, the manufacturers, and the riders. And to get all the teams, all the riders, and all the manufacturers on the same page with anything is difficult. But until that time, I don't think there's really... until there's a voice, one voice saying the same thing, then I don't think anything's really going to change. I think Feld was decently receptive to it. I think they were nervous about it. They didn't really know what my intentions were, I don't think. But I have a little bit of a relationship with them now, and I was able to, we had a call with myself and Ryan Dungy and Nick Way and Tim Ferry and Dirtworks before the season started, and we went through each map and we told them what we thought. And so there's things like that I think we can add, but I still think there's a lot more that needs to be done, and there's a lot more that needs to be considered. But I don't think Feld or MX Sports or really anyone's gonna look at anything like this legitimately until the community says, hey, we need this. And I wasn't able to gain that type of support.
You'd almost have to be kind of a consensus builder between those groups, wouldn't you?
For sure, yeah. I mean, you would... the way that I kind of try to build it is that, hey, this is an advocacy. I want to speak between the riders and the promoters and whoever else is the AMA or whoever that is, and be the bridge of communication, because it seems that there's a lapse, especially when you think about track and those types of things, and track safety. And I don't think it's not malicious by any intent. Like no one is trying to hurt anyone. Like at the end of the day, why would Feld or MX Sports or anyone try to hurt riders? I mean, that's their show.
Right.
But I think there's a breakdown of communication that happens. I think it's one because everyone's busy, and I think maybe there's just not enough people that can be there to do that. And that was kind of my whole goal is, hey, I want to be the guy that goes to the riders or the teams and says, hey, what do you think needs done, or how can we help? And I don't think there are people that are partially doing that, but I think there needs to be more involvement in having someone in that role. And that was my whole goal, to be an advocate and to break down the barriers of communication so that we can all be pulling in the same direction. Because I think what happens is, the races I did work last year, I saw what the Dirtworks guys go through. I saw what Feld's doing. I saw that there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of reasons for sometimes the way things are. And maybe the riders don't see that. And so my hope would be to go, hey, maybe this jump is like that, but let me tell you why. And I think what happens is, maybe the riders walk the track or ride the track and something's not perfectly they want it done, and they can get heated and start yelling at people, and then
it becomes adversarial at that point.
And then the guy that just spent 80 hours in a bulldozer in 3 days is going like, come on, guy, like. And so I really wanted to help in that situation, and I think that it still needs to be addressed. And I think there's still things that could be helpful as far as safety is concerned. But until the community is really asking for it, I don't really see that type of thing happening. I mean, the promoters are doing their best, and they're doing a pretty good job. But I think this is a role that needs to be filled, and I don't think it will be filled until the community says, hey, we need this.
Demand it.
Yep.
If you were king of the sport, what would you change to make things safer? Are we doing enough?
I think things are improving, honestly. I really do. I think, to me, the tracks have been better this year. I know the whoops have been a little bit easier, and maybe that's, kind of been, maybe not the best for some people or that kind of thing, but it seems like to me, the tracks have been a little bit better. Hopefully the feedback that we were able to get was helpful to that. And I think, I think the dirt work crew has been receptive to that. But I think, what I would do, and I by no means have the answers. I mean, that was part of my mission, is that, like, hey, I don't know all the answers, but no one's really investigating this.
Let me help.
Let me help. Let me be the guy that tries to find the answers. And so I think that's what's missing. Is a group of people that's really invested in trying to find solutions to problems that guys have. And so I think it's more of a structural problem. I don't think it's a make this jump this way every time and it's going to fix everything. I think it's more about communication. It's more about kind of structure and getting the riders more involved in that process, is, I think, would be huge.
I've questioned people a few times. Are 450s too big for what we're doing these days? I mean, but then you look at the 250s and they're almost the same times a lot of the weekends.
I honestly do. I mean, when I was racing full time, I didn't. I'd spent some time off, and then I rode a 450 again, and I was like, wow. But I mean, that's a $1 billion problem. But I mean, they are so fast. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, when we look at our throttle tracings, we like rarely make it to full throttle, and the racing is still good, and the bikes are still plenty fast on 250s. So I guess the simple answer is I believe that they are too fast.
But the 250s are almost as fast now, but they're even more expensive to build than the 450s.
Yeah, and I think there's a reason for that too. I mean, they always have more fresh of a track. The races are shorter, so I think there's answers to that. But I think you're right. I mean, like, I don't think many people were complaining about 125s not being fast enough, right? I mean, I don't know. I wasn't in that era.
Well, a lot of them used to struggle to make the triple.
Yeah.
Especially if it was right out of a corner.
But if that's the norm, is it a problem?
Yeah.
So I don't.
It is if you huck it and don't make it.
But if the normal is just brought down, I think it'd be okay, because I think the 250s are plenty good, maybe a 300 or a 350. But I don't know the answer to the problem, but I do think that 450s are a little too fast.
They're a beast, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're gnarly. I think the thing is that you can make a lot of mistakes and still hit the obstacles on a 450. Like you can mess up in a turn, have your foot off the peg, and still hit a triple. Where maybe on a 250 that's a little less, but if bikes are slower, you make the mistakes, you're not going to hit the obstacles. Where now it's like, you can have one hand on the handlebar and still hit something just because the bikes are so fast. So, yeah, I don't know. This is probably I'm sure it's a discussion for the ages, but I personally think the bikes could be slower.
And I don't want to get you in trouble for it either.
No, I mean, I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. I think we should consider that. But
well, I've looked at a bunch of different racing series, drag racing. They restrict speed through gear changes. Of course, they creep back up and find new ways to go faster. Other series, it might be plate racing and NASCAR, and they find ways to restrict the speed when they start getting too fast and kind of reel it back a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know, because these teams are so good about finding the advantage, that I don't know that you'll ever really limit these things. And there's a certain amount of creativity there that kind of need to make things fun and interesting. And so I think if the manufacturers got together and said, hey, let's just make a smaller placement, kind of like what happened with the 500, like, hey, this thing's a beast, maybe we should consider making a smaller bike.
Went back to 250
yeah,
two-strokes
yeah.
is the kind of premier class.
Yeah. So I mean, I wasn't there for that, so I don't know that I can speak on it too much, but Like I said, with track safety stuff, I don't know that I have the answers, but I do think that this discussion could happen in a proper, constructive way.
And you'd like to be part of the conversation.
I would like to be the conversation. Yeah, I think part of what I saw with Racing Standard and what I was trying to do too is that there's so much brain trust in the sport that goes missing. Like, how are our riders not back involved with the AMA or track safety, or there's so many guys that have so much to offer that our sport just kind of dumps out the other side
and sitting idle at home.
Yeah, or sitting there with twiddling their thumbs with nothing to do. And so I think, like, part of my mission was like, let's create an advisory team of guys like the people I called were like David Bailey and Jeremy McGrath and Tenny Ferry and Nick Way and
Kevin would be a good one.
I called Kevin Wyndham. Yeah. He told me I was crazy and that I shouldn't do this. But yeah, there's so much wisdom there that is just like sitting idle, And I think if we got the best minds in the sport of the guys that have been there and that have done it, I think we could, not saying there's even that giant of an issue. I just think it could be better.
I love him, but let's not put Travis Pastrana on that list.
Oh man, we just send him out for opening ceremonies or something.
Well, I know you're trying to catch an early flight out of here and get home a day early. And I'm glad I'm not the guy sitting next to you on the plane, but I sure appreciate the time here.
I got my suitcase in Starbucks. I'm getting ready to just go splash some water on myself. Hopefully it'll make it a little bit better.
Well, thanks again, Trey.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. Trey's a solid human, and it was great to catch up with him. Okay, want more from Trey? Check out his website at treycanard.org. Before we head out, we have to thank our sponsors. The Inside Line is presented by Thor. Remember, for over 50 years, Thor MX has been at the forefront of motocross racewear innovation with products that are purpose-built to help riders perform at the highest level in one of the most demanding sports in the world. The 2019 collection, featuring the revolutionary Prime Pro racewear, is available now. Head to thormx.com to learn more. We also have to thank Chaparral Motorsports. For more than 30 years, Chaparral Motorsports has been sharing its love of dirt bikes with like-minded individuals by offering a massive selection of the latest riding gear, new models, parts and accessories, and great pricing on tires. Visit shapmoto.com. Also, Maxxis Tires is proud to introduce the all-new MaxCross MX ST, a premier motocross tire tested and developed by the king, Jeremy McGrath. Available now at your local dealer. Ready for some more bench racing? Look for the next Inside Line soon. In the meantime, you can subscribe to the show via your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss any future episodes. You can also go back and listen to previous shows. If you're feeling really generous, leaving us a rating and review always helps. Thanks.